Trust me, after 10 months of living abroad, these tips have saved me so much time and probably money. And we all love money. Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is Kayla Marie of Kayla Meets Culture, and today I'm going to be doing a video with a little different of a subject. If you are one of my Taiwanese viewers, I'm sorry, but this video is not necessarily for you, although you are totally welcome to watch. Since I've noticed my video about why I left the United States continue to get views, I figured I might as well continue creating more content around that. Love it or hate it, if you want to leave the United States, it's totally possible. I greatly miss my own country. I miss the culture, I miss the food, I miss the people, but at the same time, there are better ways to live out there. I plan on making videos like this in the future if this one happens to do well. So if there's any type of content you want to see in regards to leaving the United States, any questions you might have, leave them in a comment below and I'll consider making a video on that in the future. But with that said, let's get started on the 3 things every US citizen needs to do before they leave the US. Number 1, you need to have at least 4 bank cards. Now, that sounds insane, but this is what I'm getting at. You should have 2 credit cards and you should have 2 debit cards. The reason that you should have 2 of each is not only because you should have a credit account and a debit account, but because in case something goes wrong with one of those accounts, you will have another backup. This is extremely important because actually when I moved to Taiwan, my first credit card was actually compromised and I had to shut it down. Now, they sent me a new credit card, but they sent it to my address in the United States. But because I brought 2 credit cards with me, I still have an extra one here to use. And this information goes the same with debit cards. If you have a debit card that gets compromised or it gets stolen or anything, you always have a backup. It's absolutely necessary to have a backup, especially if you don't have a bank account in the new country that you're living in. Another thing you need to do is you always need to make sure that you notify your banks that you are going to be gone. Depending on which bank you have, you might be able to only notify them that you'll be gone for a whole month, in which you just need to make sure every single month that you leave that notification up there, because you don't want to go use your bank account, forget that you didn't update your location, and then have your card get rejected and you lose access to that account. Now with this said, it's important to look at the types of bank accounts that are available, especially for US citizens. Before I left the United States, I had 2 bank accounts. I had 1 credit card, I had 1 debit card, but really both of these cards were not going to be very good living as an expat abroad because of charges, fees. What if I need to send money into those accounts? How much are they going to charge me to send money into the account? So before I left the United States, I also opened up 2 more accounts with Capital One. I am not in any way sponsored or paid by them or anything. All I'm saying is that Capital One is like the most awesome bank, I think, for people who are traveling abroad, because you don't need to notify them of your travel plans. You do not get charged any fees. I make cash here in Taiwan. Now, I pay my taxes, everything's legal, but I get paid in cash. And I take that cash to the bank every month. I pay a $10 fee and they deposit that straight into my Capital One account. And Capital One doesn't take out any fees or anything like that. Like it's awesome. Now that I've told you all the things that you need to consider when it comes to banking and money and everything before you leave the United States, we're gonna move on to the next most important thing that you do before you leave the US. Get a Google Voice phone number. So I've traveled before in the past to other countries and stuff like that, but this was the first time I was going to be leaving for a long period of time. So of course it was gonna make no sense for me to continue paying for a phone plan, especially an international one based out of the US, because it would be so expensive. So essentially I was going to be losing the phone number that I had in the United States. And I kept thinking, like, what if I need to contact my banks back home? What if I need to contact the IRS? What if I need to contact my student loan provider? How am I gonna do that if I don't have my local phone number? I do suggest that you get a local phone number no matter where you go, but a Google Voice number is going to allow you to keep in touch with US institutions as well as family that maybe isn't on social media. So the great thing about Google Voice is, number 1, it's free. And number 2, Google Voice will give you a US phone number to use. The US phone number that they give you is a US landline. So unfortunately, it's not necessarily seen as a cell phone number, but it still works almost exactly the same. So this is the Google Voice app on my phone. In the case that I ever need a passcode sent to my phone in order to log into an account, most of the time, not every single time, but most of the time, depending on who is sending that code, I can get the code sent to my phone and then I can log in. I even needed to contact the IRS earlier this year in regards to tax stuff, and because of Google Voice, I was able to call them. I didn't have to use my local Taiwan phone number to make a long distance call. In order to activate a Google Voice phone number, you still need an active phone number in the United States. So before you cancel your US phone number, make sure that you activate Google Voice with that phone number, and then you can cancel your phone number in the US and you're still gonna have your Google Voice number, no problem. Not only is it free to call through Wi-Fi, but you're gonna be able to get in touch with them and you're gonna save money because you don't have to call on a local phone number. All right, everybody, so we have just discussed the second topic. Now we are going to be moving on to the third thing. And honestly, this could apply to anybody, but make sure that you have copies of all of your information. If you have a couple of bank accounts, make sure that you have those numbers written down in some type of way and have them back in the United States with either a family member or some friends that you trust. Because God forbid anything happens to all of your bank account cards, you know that that information is somewhere. I also suggest that you yourself have that information written down and somewhere with you. Maybe not necessarily on you at all times, but if you're like me and you have your own apartment living abroad, then you're gonna be able to find somewhere safe and secure to put that information. Crazy scenario in my head, if I imagine my entire apartment burned down right now, which it probably wouldn't because it's made out of cement entirely. But the point is that if I lost everything I had right now, I would at least be able to go to a hotel and call up my family and be like, hey, can you give me the card information from my credit card or from my debit card? And they can send that to me and I can still make bookings online to stay wherever I have to until I can get back up on my feet. You never know what can happen. The point is always make sure that you have backup copies of all your information because it doesn't hurt, right? That is all that I have for you guys today. Trust me, after 10 months of living abroad, these tips have saved me so much time and probably money. And we all love money. If you have any other questions or anything, leave that in the comment section below. I know that right now it's quite hard with coronavirus and it makes me really upset to see what's going on back home. But if anything, I think there's a lot of motivations for US citizens to want to move abroad. So I'm here to offer any help that I can. So I'll see you next time. Peace.